But Drew, why can't you upgrade your AirPods for lossless support? Good morning!
Tim, I don't even have Apple Music or an Apple Vision Pro.
Yes, but do you have USB-C, Drew? We want you to have that. The EU wants you to have that.
I know, but it's just that the rubber tips never really felt all that great in my ear. I kind of miss the old AirPods 2 design.
What if we could give you the best of both worlds?
Wait, you're talking about the hard tips without the rubber seal?
Yes.
But they would still have active noise cancellation.
Why, yeah.
And have USB-C and the speaker on the case?
Well, yes!
All for only $99?
Well, no, they're closer to 200, but that's less than the Pros.
Well, that would be on Amazon cheaper later on, right?
No one said that.
Yeah, Amazon has them cheaper. I'm gonna be looking over there.
No, Drew, good morning!
Alright, so there was a little bit of rumors brewing about AirPods 4. I didn't expect the rumors to be as accurate as they were. I had a hard time believing there was going to be like two versions of them, one with and one without ANC, because I refuse to believe that Apple could really find a way to do active noise cancellation right with a pair of earbuds that don't have the rubber seal to form that passive layer that blocks out external audio. But then they announced it, of course, at the iPhone 16 event, and I've tried it, and it's frankly pretty dang good. It kind of blew my mind the first time I tried it out. Of course, we were unboxing everything in the car, but the car was charging and making a little bit of noise, and it totally blocked it out. And I've used these things a lot over the weekend, especially when watching YouTube videos and having a fan running. And I've experienced similar to what other reviewers have said. When it comes to very consistent, boring, like repetitive white noise, these block that out in an amazing way. But when it comes to more inconsistent noise, like people talking or the noise you make as you're like moving stuff around the house, opening doors, closing doors, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's when it has a harder time blocking out things, but I think for the most part, the reason people want active noise cancellation is not so much for the inconsistent noises they hear throughout the day, but it's usually more about the consistent noises, like blocking out the sound of an engine, or the sound of a plane, or the sound of a fan, or an HVAC unit, that type of thing. However, I will mention that on the drive home, I was editing the video that we shot in Australia, of course, and with those AirPods 4 in, they didn't do a great job canceling out road noise, at least in my particular vehicle. It could be something that is exclusive to the Model 3, but there was still like a wobble effect from the wind noise that the AirPods 4, you could tell, were trying their best to block it out, but it was almost like they were, a half a millisecond behind, so there was just this wobble effect that's very hard to recreate on camera. It's basically something like it wasn't great, but of course, as soon as you're playing audio, it kind of blocks itself out. But the rest of the things I've tested, especially when it comes to loud, repetitive white noise, this does cancel out extremely well, which is impressive to me considering how comfortable they are. It's such a relief, and I'm so in love with this design because unlike AirPods 3, the shape is so much more reminiscent of that original AirPods design we got way back in 2016, and it fits in my ear so incredibly well. I know all ears are different. For some people, AirPods Pro fit better, but for me, I always had better comfort, and I had to worry less about AirPods falling out of my ear back when I had the hard-tipped AirPods back in the day. I could put those in for hours and hours a day and not even tell I was wearing them, and it's so cool to finally have a new pair of AirPods that have brought that experience back. Like, I've worn these for hours and hours on end, and I cannot get them to fall out. I even did my dance routines, tried to shake my head as hard as I possibly could. No matter what I tried, these things were not coming out of my ear, and I can still hear everything around me pretty easily, even with transparency mode turned off, which you can technically do. And in my opinion, if there was any requests I could have with AirPods 4, it's that transparency mode wouldn't actually translate like that much additional room noise, because you can honestly just turn off any kind of noise correction and still hear everything around you pretty easily. Like, I could just go about my day, not have to worry about them falling out like I typically do with AirPods Pro. All it really takes is a little bit of sweat and moving my jaw up and down or moving my face around a little bit, and AirPods Pro I need to adjust constantly. But I was willing to put up with that because I cared about having active noise cancellation so much that I just said, okay, I'm gonna keep using AirPods Pro and I'll adjust them as needed. But now, finally, I have a way to not have to worry about adjusting them while still having superb audio quality. These sound so much more rich than the outgoing model, the AirPods 2 or 3rd generation, with so much better comfort. So I'm really glad that Apple sampled however many millions of ears to ensure the best best possible fit, while also shipping it with the H2 chip, unlike another pair of headphones on Apple's website. And can I say, I love how much they've improved with the actual charge case. For one, not having those rubber tips, in my opinion, makes them lock in a lot more securely. You don't have to worry about like kind of pushing them up and down to get the proper charge alignment with the pins on the inside. This is still an issue I have with my AirPods Pro. On occasion, because they either collect dust or debris or something, I will put my AirPods Pro in and one of them won't actually sit right with the pins, and I'll have to push down harder on the Pros to actually get them to start charging. Maybe this was fixed on AirPods Pro 2, I can't remember. I'm still using the first generation AirPods Pro, but this does not feel like that's possible because no matter what angle I push down on the AirPods 4, they're sitting flush and they're locked in. Not to mention, this is a really small portable case. Like, it's even smaller and lighter than the AirPods 2 charge case, which was like the previous record holder for like smallest, lightest pair of wireless earbuds charging case. They got rid of the button on the back, but it is still pretty intuitive to just double press the front as a capacitive button. Most of the time, you don't really need to be switching the AirPods to different devices anyway. But the other feature that absolutely blew my mind, aside from the obvious, like, yeah, USB-C is great. Also, it can charge off of an Apple Watch charge puck now. That's fantastic. You've got a speaker for Find My, but no U1 chip, although I've heard people say that the whole compass tracking thing with AirPods Pro 2 doesn't work all that reliably anyway. No, none of that stuff matters that you've heard before. What really matters, that's not getting talked about enough, that I didn't realize until I actually started using AirPods 4, is they got rid of the indicator dot. There's still a charge light on the outside, of course, that, you know, turns orange when it's charging or white when it's pairing and green when they're charged up. But when that charge light goes off, it disappears. It becomes invisible. You can't see where the charge light actually is supposed to be. This is not the case on AirPods Pro 2. Even when the light is not on, you can still see that little indicator dot. Same thing on AirPods 3. You always had this little dot on the front that would light up depending on the state of charge or the state of pairing for the AirPods. And they found a way with AirPods 4 to just erase that little dot and now just have it light up when necessary. These are the kind of pointless, insignificant features that make me love Apple so much. That affects my day-to-day life much, much more than having some stupid U1 chip. I mean, who needs that little compass feature? As long as the charge case is capable of playing a sound, let your ears do the work. You can use the audible wavelength of the sound spectrum in order to track down where your AirPods are. So I've been jamming out with these things, of course, and the charge case is incredible. It's so tiny they had to put it in a diaper when we unboxed it. It was adorable. They've kept it simple. There's no more buttons anymore. There's no more cables in the packaging. They fit great in my ear. I can wear them for hours at a time without any discomfort or having to adjust them. The sound quality is superb. I'm not an audiophile by any means, but it just feels so much more balanced than before. You can hear the mids, the trebles way more clear while still having a decent amount of bass. I'm a big fan of having more than probably others' bass quality, but yeah, you still have equalizer settings and all that stuff. So probably a lot of you are asking, why not just, you know, a perfectly positive title? Why not just say AirPods 4 are amazing and I'm buying them and I'm keeping them because they're my new, like, favorite go-to? Well, there's just a couple of problems I have with AirPods 4, and unfortunately, even though there's really only two issues I'm having with them, it's arguably deal-breaker kind of issues, because I've had multiple pairs of AirPods over my life. I had the original AirPods back in 2016. After about a year, I was having issues with them kind of dying out because I use them all the time, so I bought like a third-party company's version of painted AirPods. They were called Black Pods, and they weren't even painted all that well, if I'm being honest, but I used those for a while, and then they went bad on me. Then I switched to AirPods Pro, and thankfully, thanks to the whole like class action lawsuit or whatever, after about a year and a half of using AirPods Pro and I was having issues with them, Apple replaced them for free. My rubber tips broke and everything. I was having charging issues with the case, so they replaced the case. So basically, none of my current AirPods Pro is from the original set. Every single component had to be replaced about 2 years into ownership, and now I'm having charging issues again with AirPods Pro. And my wife, of course, has my old version of AirPods back when they first got the H1 chip and everything, and she's having battery life issues. So we've talked about this actually on the Tailosive Tech podcast. The reason I'm a little bit hesitant to go ahead and bite the bullet on a pair of AirPods like this is battery life. I know on day one it's usually fine, but these are already taking a little bit of a compromise compared to previous generation AirPods. Like, technically, because they now have active noise cancellation, when you're using transparency mode or ANC, battery life is actually now down to 4 hours instead of 5. And again, that's on day one. These much smaller batteries go through cycles a lot faster and degrade a lot faster than bigger batteries out there. there, and that means that within just a couple of years of me owning these things, we're probably going to be looking at more like a 3-hour battery life with ANC on, and most of the flights I take are definitely more than 3 hours, which is a shame because maybe with AirPods Pro, after 5 hours or 6 hours, I'd be comfortable taking them out because that rubber seal isn't as comfortable in my ear. But with this shape, I actually would be fine wearing them for the entire duration of the flight. But I've had charging issues in the past, and I've had battery life get much, much worse. And to me, it feels kind of wasteful and inefficient to constantly have to replace my wireless earbuds every 2 years. In my opinion, that's not a very long time to hold on to accessories, and sometimes I'm using these for yard work, and that can easily take 3 to 4 hours to keep using active noise cancellation to block out the sound of the yard equipment and all that. So the battery life is one concern, but believe it or not, that is actually not quite the deal breaker with these things. I'd be willing to tolerate a little bit of worse battery life, especially if I could justify it by saying, well, you know, it's only $180, so what's the big deal? 2 years later, I gotta buy another pair. Maybe I'll get some slightly better battery life or better audio quality down the road. But the real deal breaker that I discovered very quickly into wearing these things, just on the drive home from the Apple store, was I was editing my video with active noise cancellation on, again, not quite canceling out the reverberation from the car. Not a big deal, I never wear my headphones in the car, but my wife was driving so that I could edit the footage, and she pointed out just a few minutes into the drive, I can hear what you're listening to, and I was not even playing audio very loud at all. And again, the car was moving at like 65, 70 miles an hour, so you'll already have wind noise, and I'm sitting, you know, right next to my wife, and she's driving and I'm editing, and she's like, I can hear the sound coming out of those AirPods. I've heard other reviewers say otherwise, so maybe the bleed through is not as bad with AirPods 4 as maybe other headphones out there. I'm not exactly sure, but it's bad enough that it gets to the point that a lot of people don't even like when you're wearing headphones around them because they're like, I can hear what you're listening to. It's kind of annoying. I can attest it really annoys the crap out of me when I'm sitting next to someone and you can hear just a little bit of sound coming out of their phone or their headphones. It's like, dude, at that point, just play it so that we can all hear it. And oftentimes the reason I put AirPods in is so that I don't disturb my wife because she's either enjoying the peace and quiet or watching something on TV or trying to get some sleep, and I'm up early working or listening to YouTube videos and that kind of thing. So if she can hear the sound sitting next to me in a noisy car and I'm not even blasting the audio very loudly, that in my opinion can almost defeat the purpose of wearing headphones in the first place. So that's one major issue that I have that really prevents me from being able to use it a lot of the time if I'm disturbing the people around me anytime I put them in. So that alone is part of the reason I'm a little bit hesitant to commit to keeping these things around, because I somewhat want to weigh out all of my options. The one consideration is that these already don't have that great of a battery life, and I know that the more I use them, the worse the battery life's gonna get, and I don't like the idea of having to spend $200 every couple of years just to replace the same pair of earbuds. So I'm thinking of maybe biting the bullet and trying to consider a pair of over-ears that have much better battery life. But of course, AirPods Max were a massive disappointment. Just USB-C in new colors. Didn't even get the new H2 chip, not to mention they're still over $500, and there's no way really to use them wired at this point. Apple did not provide a USB-C to headphone jack option out the box, or the Apple Store. You can't even buy it as an accessory, which is a shame because I do think that AirPods Max would likely be like the most comfortable pair of over-ears for me. But alright, I'll be honest with you guys, like, as much as I love earbuds, I'm feeling weird about spending this much money or having to upgrade them this frequently. So I'm kind of tempted to check out the Beats Studio Pros, which came out last year, but they have introduced new color options which look pretty cool. There's this new matte white finish that just launched on Amazon. Obviously not a sponsor, but those are only $250, and they support lossless audio playback. They have 40 hours of battery life. They still have like the automatic pairing and switching and everything with Apple products, so I know they're pretty ecosystem friendly, even though they don't have the H2 chip or whatever. I'm just not sure how comfortable they're gonna be on me until I actually go out and try them, but I would like to spend a little bit more than $180 if it means that it's a pair of headphones that's going to last me more like 5 to 10 years instead of just like 2. And if I can find a pair of over-ears that are really comfortable, that I also feel okay using as I'm mowing the lawn and I'm like sweating a lot, that's another concern concern I have with AirPods Max. There's been a lot of condensation complaints and quality control issues people have talked about. I haven't done a fair bit of research on Beats Studio Pros yet, but that's kind of the price point and features that might start to make sense for me, even though I've never been a Beats fan. You know, I've never cared for like the solos. I didn't want on-ears, but that's kind of where my headspace is at, but I'm not sure. There's so many things I love about AirPods 4. I'm debating just keeping them around as like the lighter pair of earbuds that, you know, you just want to throw on really quickly and they don't take up much space in your pocket. Literally smallest charge case ever. Like, they're so cute. And of course I love that they're Type-C. I feel like there's a lot of longevity built in automatically just with that, but I'm tempted to go with something with much longer battery life that also can do really high bitrate and high fidelity wired options if I so desire. But what do you guys think I should do? Are AirPods 4 the best bang for your buck, or should I go the over-ear route? Comment down below your recommendations, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you all in the next one.